as the Russian convoy encircles Kyiv and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians flee the country. A new urgency in Washington, where lawmakers say increased Russian bombing of civilian areas is pushing them to action.
It's time we drop the hammer and completely shut down the economy in Russia, and that we do more to assist the Ukrainian defenses.
Before the invasion, U.S. lawmakers had struggled to reach a compromise on bipartisan sanctions, leaving the White House to take the lead on imposing financial sanctions against Russia by executive order.
I want to salute the president. He, working with their allies, are presenting a united front against Putin. If his intention was to divide NATO and the West, not just NATO, but other countries, in fact, he has instead unified them even further in terms of their commitment to sovereignty, democracy, and peace. Peace, peace, peace.
Some Republicans have criticized Biden for not being tough enough on the Kremlin to prevent the crisis. But there is increasing bipartisan unity to pass a sanctions package, Republican Senator Lindsey said, as he called for Putin and members of his government to be condemned for war crimes.
This is maybe the most effective thing we can do, is to let the generals in the army of Russia know you follow Putin's orders at your own peril. There were 161 people prosecuted in the Balkans conflict, from privates to prime ministers, generals included. I want the world to rally around the rule of law.
There are also multiple proposals for humanitarian and military aid for Ukraine pending in both the U.S. House and Senate.
Not only weapons, not only money, but also intelligence, so that our partners are able to take advantage of any useful intelligence to defend themselves. Remember, at the end of the day, these people are fighting for their freedom. They're fighting for their democracy. And so we need to be helping them as much as we possibly can without crossing a line.
Public opinion polling shows most Americans do not want to see troops directly involved in a conflict with Russia in Ukraine, a concern echoed by lawmakers.
I do think that it would certainly exacerbate the situation to put boots on the ground. I think the no-fly zone is something that we should consider. I know there are implications to that. I think that Vladimir Putin will perceive that as a major threat and maybe even a declaration of war.
The first Ukrainian-born member of the U.S. Congress agreed.
We are not going to go in the war. It's not a NATO ally, so we don't have Article 5 commitment. So this is just something unfeasible. We can do some other things. We can talk about providing maybe humanitarian corridor or safe passages so people actually can get evacuated and not get killed there.
Spartz told VOA it was time Washington stopped thinking of the invasion of Ukraine as a war and saw it as a genocide. Katherine Gypson, VOA News, Washington.